call the meeting to order at 6:25. The first order of business should be to elect a permanent chair. So since I was elected to be the interim chair, I'll entertain nominations for the permanent position.
I nominate Kathy Hagee. Second.
No seconds.
I want to.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of Kathy Hagee being chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I'll entertain nominations for vice.
Nominate Steve Frisk.
Did you get it out? Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Will Bissonette.
Oh, you're gonna make us vote? Well, this should be fun.
All paper ballots.
Okay, so are there any other nominations? You two are gonna jump into the fray too? No, okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of Steve Frisk being vice chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of Will Bissonette being chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Ooh, that's pretty close.
Okay, so it's up to you, the two of us, Crystal.
Yeah, I have to abstain. I'm brand new here. Do I have to vote?
It would be helpful.
Does anybody really want to do it more than the other person?
Because right now
I don't
it's
believe so.
Right now it's 2-1. I mean, I'll solve the issue rather than tying it. I'll vote in favor of Steve if that lets you off the hook. Because that gives him 3.
That's fine.
Okay.
One abstention.
With 1 to 3. Yeah.
That's fine.
1, 3, and an abstention.
Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm planning to leave now. Okay, now that that's official. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 27th, 2016, or 18. Oh God, it's been 2 years behind.
So moved. Y2K coming up second.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 27th, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 6th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from March 6th, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I only have one addition, and that would be the correspondence, and you actually don't have to do more than acknowledge it, which I'm going to do right now. You did get to the select boards from the Wyndham Regional Commission. You did get a copy of their hearing draft Wyndham Regional Energy Plan dated February 27th, 2018. It's a nice document, well produced. It is only a draft. There will be hearings on that coming up, and the one to take note of is at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, April 9th at the Townshend Town Hall. This copy I will put on front burner in the clerk's office for anyone who wants to see it. Pretty comprehensive. It is a draft energy plan for the region. And we just passed our town plan, which has a pretty extensive energy plan. Should coordinate with this one pretty well. So
Okay.
that would be in addition to correspondence, what I've just referenced. So.
All right. Then moving on, as we found out, the highway foreman is not going to be here this evening. We did have one piece of correspondence that I asked be put underneath the highway for discussion with the highway foreman, and it's a letter from Pamela Corbett. And it says, "Dear Select Board, I would like to draw your attention to a tree on West Hill Road that looks like it is about to fall in the road. It is best seen if you approach it from Barber Roadside. Traveling from Barber Road past Shady Lawn just before the White House, the trees on the left-hand side. As seen in the photo below, there is a big crack in the base resulting in a large section of the tree precariously leaning over the road. The best case would be the tree falls into the road and is removed. The worst case, it falls and lands on the car. I travel this section of road daily and it is concerning. Thanks for your attention, Pamela Corbett on Barber Road." And there's a picture. So, Is this something that we would like to direct the highway foreman's attention to?
Yes.
This particular tree?
No.
Okay,
If you
so
go up
just
there
a-
to the tree and you look at the tree, it's not, I mean, if we cut down every tree that leans towards the road, or that there's a problem with, you're gonna have landowners paired up, and two, you're gonna be cutting trees forever. It's like, let the thing fall down. If it's gonna fall down.
Have you
it's
seen it,
not-
will it reach the road if it falls?
How many trees are gonna reach the road if it falls?
I'm just
I mean, it's-
wondering, I
it goes
haven't
on
seen
forever. We
it.
live in the woods, that's why the trees are there.
I know, but the picture doesn't
Is
really
there a risk
represent.
of power line damage or anything if the tree comes
I
down?
have no
across
I
the
don't
road?
think so.
The power company would have to take care of that. That wouldn't be our responsibility.
If it wasn't.
The point is that there are a couple old maple trees on the side of the road. Every one of these roads have old maple trees on them. We'd be cutting trees forever, doing nothing more than pissing people off.
I think the one thing that we do need to make sure of is that as we get into this discussion again about hazard trees, we just were chastised for not pursuing the hazard trees.
Right.
That perhaps the first step in this case would be to have the tree warden decide whether or not it officially is a hazard tree.
Well, and your highway foreman as well. And that is one thing, acknowledging it on camera to the public as a potential hazard tree means you just bought it. In a sense, so I think somebody needs to assess it, however that may be. Your
But
tree
this
warden,
one's
if
not
you,
dead. It has a black top to it.
maybe we could put a tire chain on it so it doesn't fall.
We probably have plenty of tire chains.
Well, I still think it would be one that somebody needs to at least take a look at, since it.
Right, because I don't
was
think you
our
can
project.
decide from a picture, and I don't think
Yes,
it's the
right.
board, I don't think it's the board's responsibility to
Could
make
you
that decision.
call Kurt and Bob DeServo and ask them to look at it?
Bob servo lives there.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
he
that
lives on
drives
Barber
by
Road.
every
Oh,
day.
okay.
He's
So-
But yeah, we can certainly.
So he can open his window.
Appointing a tree warden is one of the
Doesn't have
things
to
on your
open his
list here,
eyes.
so but we'll bring that to attention of parties concerned.
Oh, okay, then moving on, I know there's all kinds of questions in the warrants about the highway. Do we want to have a discussion right now as to whether or not we would like to schedule a specific meeting to speak with the foreman about all these questions? Do we want to postpone for another 2 weeks? What would you like to do? There seem to be a fair number of bills that don't have a quorum signature on them.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to hold a meeting with him to get some of these questions in, so these people can get paid in a timely
Yeah,
fashion.
it's not fair to hold up our vendors for another 2 weeks because he's not here.
Exactly.
Do we have any idea when that might be able to happen? Is next week a possibility? Our next meeting would be 2 weeks from last Tuesday, so.
27th, I think is the next.
Right.
27th will be your next meeting.
Yeah, I could do next week.
Is any day better than another? I cannot do Tuesdays. Tuesdays are just out.
Do you want to try for a meeting here or a meeting at the garage or?
We should do a meeting at the garage.
You're gonna end up dragging all the paperwork out there, and then you have to keep track of it as it gets scattered to the winds.
We have an excellent secretary.
Okay.
You don't want to dress up for the meeting, Kathy?
I'm not going out to the garage in anything but jeans.
We're not working on anything.
I don't care. Walking in there, you don't want to go in anything but jeans. Just a note.
You only use open end wrenches, no air tools.
Anyway,
Yeah, as long as I have a day or two notice, I can arrange my
so
schedule.
is there a
So
date?
Tuesday's no good?
Tuesday's the only day that's no good for me.
Monday or Wednesday?
How about tomorrow?
What's tomorrow?
Friday?
I could do a Monday or a Wednesday if Tuesday does not work. Or maybe, I can't do Monday next week, I'm sorry.
So
Well, it's gonna
Wednesday.
depend on
I
weather
have a
too,
calendar
I
in front of me,
suppose.
but my guess is
But
Wednesday.
actually, if you only need him for half an hour, 40 minutes, he should be able to be there.
Right.
So we want to try for Wednesday?
Yeah, what time?
Same time, 6-ish? Or do we want to go earlier during the
I don't know.
day?
Crystal, you can't go earlier, right?
I'm trying to think the date. Wednesday is the 21st? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wednesday's the 21st. like a 5, if that works for Kurt? And does anybody know if he's even gonna be available?
We
Not
don't know
right
that.
That's a
now.
good question.
Right now, right?
I mean, they're done working for the day, normally at 2:30. So
In
they're,
the summertime.
So we had them at 6.
In the morning.
That's mine.
so does
So
does
you want
that,
to say Wednesday at 5 if Kurt's available?
that work?
Does that work for everybody?
It's a suggestion, I'll let everybody know.
Wednesday at 5?
Yep.
Evening, Mike.
Okay. Then hopefully you've got your rough idea of what your questions are. I would suggest that any of the warrants that don't pass tonight for the highway, that they accompany us out there.
Modify whatever you can, though, so she can pay out anything, but
Yeah.
I'll make copies of them.
Okay. Then moving on to the town clerk, was there, I didn't look.
There was.
There was a
This week there
counter,
was, yeah.
Yep.
counter list, okay. Looks like this. Just the counter money that she's putting in. And the treasurer?
Here's the bill. Excuse me. $1,426,982.28. And checking account, you have 30,000.
We're gonna take care of about half of that.
And
The 30,000.
what are you gonna do about that CD?
I didn't do an instruction for, what is the date that needs to be done?
Well,
Do you remember?
it's good on the 13th, so you got 10 days from the 13th, you got till the 23rd.
Did you ever find out whether there was any money parked?
I did not, and that was something Elaine was gonna check on, and I didn't hear back from her on that, but I would suggest, and Mike is here right now, but you're not gonna go through a reappraisal. You can tap that reappraisal money for other issues, but I don't think you're gonna use any of that money that's in the reappraisal CD before the end of this fiscal year, before June 30th. So I would say roll that CD over. If you use any of that money, you spend $15,000 on maps, that can be fronted out of a general fund and reimbursed next March to the general fund out of that if you need that.
It
But
is available for maps, but the DOT is taking care of most of the expenses on this. So
Right, but I
this
don't-
fiscal year, we probably won't.
Right, well, you're probably not gonna touch it before June 30th. There are 4 or 4, I think we can roll it around, and if you do need it, we can be reimbursed.
Well,
It's
but
not gonna be
again,
that much.
I thought the whole hang-up was finding out whether or not there was money parked from last year, waiting for the CD to come out.
It
and
is,
roll it in.
and when we find out from Elaine or Joe finds out what's, if that, and I think there is something parked, because I think the state, we haven't made a deposit to that since last March. There should be money from the state that came in last year, which couldn't go in the CD because the CD was locked.
Right.
So it should be in a holding account, probably River Valley. We will have Joe, well, we'll find out what that is, if it is there, and we'll have Joe add that to the CD. It should be a fairly good chunk. Do you remember what's in there now? 112?
113.
113, yeah.
Something.
So I didn't.
I got it out in my desk if you want.
No, it's not. No, I would have the board just ask Joe to roll it over.
I was just saying, I'll entertain a motion to
I'd make
have
a motion to have the treasurer roll the CD over,
reappraisal
reappraisal
CD.
CD.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of having the treasurer roll over the reappraisal fund CD, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Roll over for 1 year, add any deposits.
Basically,
Yep,
if we can
1
find
year
it.
term. Yep.
All right, any other questions for the treasurer? All right, then moving on to warrants.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1, payroll, in the amount of $11,581.09.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
81 or 80 cents, 9 cents or 80 cents?
9 cents, that's what I wrote
Is
down.
$9,581.09.
Okay.
Is there, and there was a second, right, somebody seconded?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $11,581.09, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? The motion passes. Now, I just have a really quick question here. Oh, there it is. I didn't need to do it. That's amazing. I saw you had a printed one. I'm trying to figure out why I hand wrote mine. Okay. Go ahead for them.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2 out of payroll taxes in the amount of $4,556.61.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant withholding number 2 in the amount of $4,556.61, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund in the amount of $9,013.38.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
There's an invoice in there for a little over $5,000 for fire hose. Has that been received?
It has not been received, or at least we haven't been notified that it's been
I
received.
think it has been received. We don't have confirmation that it is correct. It hasn't been checked in yet. If it did come in today, we don't know that it's A-okay, so.
So I don't think we should pay that invoice until we can verify that we've received everything that was ordered.
So would you like to make an amendment to the amount on that warrant?
Then we can put the rest of it through.
Okay, so then you would most likely want to amend that motion to be $3,308.38.
Yeah, I'll say that again.
3,033.08.38. And I don't know, who made that motion? Rob made the motion. You okay with that amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Amendment
You okay
to-
on the second? You were the
Yes.
second, so, all right, then, all those in favor of approving general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $3,308.38, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the general fund in the amount of $22,897.60.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $22,897.60, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the general fund in the amount of $578,522.51.
Is that the school budget?
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, other than the fact that that $500,000 goes to the schools?
Goes on deaf ears.
Okay, I'm just saying, that's where it's going.
Yep.
All right, so much for 50% of what you just told us we had in the bank, Joe.
Yep.
All those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 5 in the amount of $578,522.51, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the general fund in the amount of $139.36.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 6 in the amount of $139.36, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the highway fund in the amount of $9,581.55.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we amend the UniFirst bill to pay them what we agreed to pay them? What we contracted with to pay them? Or pull it out until we get an answer from them?
I mean, this is a weekly occurrence, so.
Yeah, it is.
I'm very curious about the 21-cent finance charge.
Well, that's just, that's because we haven't cleaned up what you guys have held back, and that is a longer discussion for me to have with UniFirst, but every week, the bill is different, as we've been pointing
Yeah.
out. This year, it's just every week it's different. And you never know. Something pops in, something doesn't. Sometimes it's off by $10, sometimes it's only 3 or 4.
Are we getting like pants for the mice that are out there on some days or something? I don't understand how it varies every week. So, yeah, we need to have a discussion with the UniFirst.
Well, I think we should just stop paying them until we can have a conversation and get the thing straightened out, and then we'll do business. But we're not gonna keep doing this every week.
Right. I agree.
So whoever's got, you got the invoice. There is, what else is on there?
I think it's just two and back for UniFirst.
Yeah, it's the last two, I think.
Well,
Financial charge and then preparation charge.
no, I just need I need the totals on front. Okay, I need to check. 9, 5.
So you want to amend that, Rob?
Yes, I would move to amend the motion to the figure that Kathy's about to come up with.
Yeah, she's gonna give me a number.
Okay, then the number would be $9,440.87.
94, 40, 80. Bless you.
Okay, so whoever made that motion, are you okay with amending that amount?
Yes.
Okay, whoever seconded it, Steve?
Second.
You okay with that? All right, then all those in favor of approving, let's see, that was highway warrant number 7 to the amount of $9,440.87, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 8 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $8,025.09.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, there's too
Yeah.
many invoices in there that we need Kirk here to answer to.
Is that the repair invoice? All the truck
Yes.
Parts,
repairs?
yes.
Just all parts.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Plus tires for T9, I'm
I would agree with that.
curious as to how old those are.
So do we want to fail the entire warrant until we can speak to him?
Yes.
Is that where we are?
Yeah, there's so many on there.
Barrows for their diesel.
No, we can do that.
Some of it's diesel, some of it's other stuff from Barrows.
Well, what's critical on
And we
there?
have a lot of antifreeze from Sunils.
There's diesel. There's plow lights, DEF fluid, tobacco, DEF fluid,
DEF,
DEF, DEF.
That's the,
diesel exhaust fluid for the DEF.
I mean, we can pay some of these. Is that what your pleasure? We got
Oh, I was
barrels
thinking Barrows.
for the diesel, and then we got, I guess that's all part of Sunil for the DEF fluid. The rest of it's all parts for the trucks themselves. What's your pleasure?
Pay the fuel?
Yeah, amended to pay better.
Just pay barrels? Okay.
Barrows only?
3, yeah.
Okay.
7, 4, 9. So it comes now $4,148.03. So maker of the motion, accept the amendment?
Yes.
The second, accept the amendment?
Yes.
All right, then all those in favor?
Can you give me the
Oh,
number?
I thought I did.
No.
4,148.03.
4,148.03 is what we're paying. Okay.
So all those in favor of paying equipment warrant number 8 amended to the amount of $4,148.03 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 10 out of the highway fund in the amount of $1,000.
9.
Ooh,
9.
9. I
9.
missed 9 somewhere. There's 9.
Back to what I was saying. Make a motion to pay check warrant number 9 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $3,145.93.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, there are invoices in there that we need Kirk to answer to.
I don't think there's anything we can pull out of that one.
That's all cabinet.
No,
It's
it's
all
all
cabinet.
cabinet.
All right. Then, is there any further discussion on 9? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying equipment warrant number 9 in the amount of $3,145.93 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion fails.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 10 out of the highway fund in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Controversy.
Nobody? Really? Okay. Hearing
What's
none.
that $1,000 for?
All those in favor of paying highway warrant number 10 in the amount of $1,000, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the motion passes. So, Mike, to answer your question, it all passed.
Oh, thank you. I have a couple questions.
And that's fine, in fact, that's where we are right now, as members of the public, so go ahead.
Okay, first of all, welcome, Crystal. My other question excludes Crystal, Kathy, because we've spoken, and Craig. I'd like to know why it took so long for these warrants on my mileage to be approved.
Why did it take so long for them forms to be filled out properly?
Well, I don't know, because no one from this office has told me what it was that was necessary. But then you had to have a copy of my certificate from the conference.
Something showing
Well, I've got one coming up next week, and they don't give certificates, and I got one coming up the first week of April. They don't give certificates. And what I'm feeling here now, I've been a lister for 8 years, going on my 9th. No one on the board has ever challenged my honesty or my integrity before, and I'm not very happy about it.
We're not challenging it now.
Honesty or integrity, not one bit.
I have never had to put those up before.
In a business, if an employee comes to you that's been with you for 30 years and wants to get something reimbursed, a charge to the business, there needs to be proof. Was it a meal? Was it fuel? What was it? Give me a receipt, you get reimbursed. That's all we're asking for.
Everything was given to Elaine, except for my certificate. Everything. The moment that I applied, I brought this thing into her. She paid for the conference. I went up there, and I can't bring you a certificate every time I go. And I've talked to other listers, I've talked to other select board members, and there's no other town that requires me to get a signature from them up there to come back and give to the board.
I don't think we're requiring a signature. They must give you an agenda, there must be a pass up, there must be a payment receipt of some sort. Well,
Elaine had all of that.
Oh,
She did have all that.
Okay.
The only thing that wasn't available, which I spoke to you about it, was an agenda or some kind of literature from the conference that you attended to be able to be put with the package, and that's what I had asked you to do, and you did give. So
that's why it passed. It
So-
was attached to your reimbursement form. It shows us that you went there, and that's all we're asking for. That's what was in a new policy.
Well, that's
that was
enough, as long as I don't have to give a certificate every time.
No.
No, we just need to
just
know
something.
that you went.
An agenda, or if they have, like, normally when you go into these conferences, they'll have the different programs that you can, or seminars you can sign up for. If you just bring us a copy of that, whatever they hand you in the way of seminars, that shows us that you were there. You know, you don't have to tell us what you did, just that you were there, you received the handout, and it validates the fact that you were signed up for.
For the next two coming up, Elaine already has all that information.
Does she have, but she doesn't have the physical piece that you're bringing back from a conference, like an agenda, or
That's online, and I've given it to her.
they're not,
The purchase of the registration is one thing. It means that you or Dick or Gene can go. What the board wants is to know that you actually did go, is what it is. So bring something back from the conference, a calendar or something, and bring something back from the conference. That shows that you actually did go. Last year, there was she paid a registration fee or something for something in February that got canceled.
Right.
That's right.
That was right, and that was just, it led to a bumpity bump down the road. And this one actually wasn't that much of an issue, except the corroboration wasn't there, but we knew the corroboration was there, so we waited for another meeting. This last one got canceled. The bigger issue was more the going around town and not knowing, the board not knowing where you were going, or where you had been. This one, where you go to a conference, is pretty straightforward, because you do go, and you usually do bring something, back.
You already got it
Yeah.
on the internet, you've already got everything. I don't have much of anything now.
They
Sometimes towns.
no, that they don't give you an agenda.
There was something
The
in there.
agenda's already online, and I think if you check, you'll see the lane has all of that already.
So they don't offer different workshops during the day that where you
Yes,
have
they
a
do.
solution?
And that's what I registered for.
Did you register?
This is only on one of these that they do it, and that's the one with the tax department, I believe, or no, UVM that does it, and I've already given this.
But so there's nothing that you take back from these, there's no,
I mean, this one
Handouts, flyers.
this one has something signed by Chris Matt, it said you were there. Just says
Yeah,
you were
that's
there.
what I'm saying, we don't
Right.
get those at all.
Yeah.
But they don't give, for example, Mike, do they give you some type of a program to follow while you're there as they go through the
You
workshop?
get that online.
So they don't,
So
they
you come
actually
in and
don't,
you register, you go sit, and you go to whichever course you sign to.
right.
Most of the time, it's everyone goes to one seminar.
But they don't give you, a prime example, usually when you go to these things, they give you the PowerPoint presentation that you're going to see on paper. Do they ever give you anything like that?
They haven't.
They haven't ever given you anything
Now,
like that?
back when we used to go to Mount Snow for the whole municipal thing, I think they used to hand them out there, but they don't.
They don't do that
call
anymore,
for
huh?
anything like that.
Hmm.
And I'm certainly not heading out somewhere and going partying and saying I went to the seminar. I mean,
Yeah, I can, if they're not doing any handouts, I don't know what we would be able to use as that cooperation piece.
that's a good question. And Mike, I don't want you to think that we're personally picking on you or the listers. This is an ongoing effort to get a handle on some of the stuff that goes on with the town, with the highway, with everyone.
and I
Just-
want to conform to everything that's required,
Right.
but I need to know how I'm
What
going to
it
do it.
is.
Right, right.
Well, for example, I'm going to a conference the day before I leave to go to Maryland, and it's a verbal, it's just a discussion group for select board members. And I don't know if there'll be anything there, but if I put my mileage in, I'm going to need to bring something back to show that the mileage was justified to go to Brattleboro and back for this business event.
Robin and Steve said they took separate cars, so they both got paid for mileage. I mean, this goes back a long ways.
Oh.
No, I'm just saying, it's one of the.
That's a whole different
I know it is, but I'm just saying, it just goes back and back to David and trying to straighten out with the original mileage policy and all that. But there was no corroboration that either Robin or Steve actually went to the conference, except that there was a mileage for each one of them, and it was different miles.
So basically, there isn't any paper at all there that says anything to do with when you go to a listers meeting. I mean, I remember when I was on the listers, we went to Fairleigh, they had each seminar you went into, there was at least a paper that had an outline of what they were gonna speak about that day.
Hi, my name is Rob.
For many years, they have you sign in, and then during the conference, they send a round of paper to have you sign and put what name you are and what town you're from. But as far as the agenda and everything, that's usually just pulled off the line. And I'm not trying to be difficult about it, I want to be able
Well, I
to
just
do it
find it
how
hard to
I'm
believe that
supposed to.
there's not a piece of paper anywhere in that whole entire seminar that says, you know, on so-and-so day, this is what's going on.
I've seen one for years.
Are they serving lunch?
I'm sorry.
Are they serving lunch?
Yeah, bring us
Okay.
back a half a ham
I was gonna
sandwich.
say, why did you bring this back? Because Fairleigh always has monogram napkins. Bring us back a napkin.
Oh, boy, I can't wait
That
till
would
you go
be
on
deep
camera
for
with
you.
it.
No, I'm
They're
not,
cloth napkins.
oh darn, I was hoping they were paper. I didn't, I'm sorry. Okay.
We're not
that's
suggesting
okay.
you
That's
make
okay.
crimes.
Yeah.
But they most always put a mint up in front of us, so I can bring it back a mint.
Does it have their logo on it or something? Good.
Yeah, that
And the
Isn't
first
it?
couple times I got them, I thought they were pats of butter.
But that was a surprise.
It was.
Okay, so, you know, just something that we can say that the policy's been followed. If you just bring us the wrapper off that stupid thing, for example, it should have their logo on it or something to that effect if they don't do a paper.
I'll bring
I
that.
don't care if you leave the seminar and go to the first gas station and put $5 worth of gas in your car, and it shows you were in that town on that date. That's all you need, and we know you were there. That's all.
Because it does take gas to get there.
It
Yeah, it does.
Exactly.
When they do give receipts.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, then, moving on to correspondence. Received a letter from Philip Moriarty. It says, "Dear Select Board members, after years of hearing members of the Select Board point out that the demands of running the town exceeded the resources available, the 2016 town meeting passed a resolution that asked the Select Board to propose what resources were needed to solve these ongoing problems." That would actually be 17, not 16. The motion suggested looking at a town manager or a town administrator and requested a job description and budget for whatever the board proposed. The Select Board presented no recommendation as to structure or budget at the 2018 town meeting. I urge the Select Board to revisit this issue as requested by the town meeting vote in 2017. If the members still believe the town is in need of additional staffing. Information on budgets and job descriptions are contained in the Governance Committee's interim report. The bulk of the nitty-gritty work has been done. If the board concludes the town does not need an increase in administrative resources, it should tell the town so the issue can be put to rest. In short, if you don't need more help, tell us. If you need more help, tell us what. If you don't need more help, please stop complaining. Thanks, Philip Moriarty. On that note,
You have a complaint?
no, it's not a complaint. I'd just like to point out that number one, the board was put in a very awkward position of being the only people in the room that had to publicly state what their vote was, which has led to this letter in a lot of ways. And the second one is I have asked Craig to keep track of the scope of what he does between these next two meetings, so that we can get a feel for exactly what the Select Board Administrative Assistant is currently doing on the town's behalf, so that we can begin to put together a job description for the time when Craig does retire, because something's going to have to be in place.
I throw the ball for the dog.
You do, yeah, and you haul garbage bags and you do all kinds of things like that. But again, we need to know exactly what that is. There's a wonderful beginning job description that we found online from the town of Reedsboro. That's a great place to start with looking at a town administrator. So that if we can take that as a beginning point, make it ours with what Craig is currently doing, then hopefully we'll have something at least on paper for whoever comes after us.
And Will has offered to stop in occasionally for an hour, half an hour, whatever, either mornings or afternoons. So it's kind of a take your boss to work day. And so he and I will have a chance.
Who's taking who?
Good question.
He's stopping in to see what goes on. So we'll pick a good time.
Yeah, I do.
But anyway, yeah.
I do want to spend some time with you.
There's a lot
doing the daily business.
But there are some things that need to be looked into that you can assist with or take on as your own.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
So if you could just have a relatively comprehensive list. I mean, I know it's
7 pages and growing.
It changes on a daily basis, and I know it's whatever crisis needs to be handled at the moment.
7
But
pages typed, single space. So far. Anyway, yeah.
I think it'd be a good place to start, and then if we do have something that's tangible, we don't need the town's permission to hire an administrative assistant or to hire a town administrator, so that would at least leave whomever takes our seats after us with the ability to get some help if they needed it. So, anyway, moving on. Our business, the Johnson property update. You all have a copy of a response that I received from our attorney, the ones that are handling this.
No, I'm sorry for the informality of it. It was an email, and I copied and pasted to get a bigger font on it. That is.
And it says, "Dear Kathy, we're still waiting for the Sheriff's Department to send us an affidavit of attempted service that we can use to request a TAC order from the court. The first information we received was on an unsigned Post-it note attached to the document. We followed up with the Sheriff's Department and requested a formal affidavit. We finally received an affidavit today, but it is not prepared by the deputy who attempted service and was insufficient to support a request for a tax order. We have followed up with the Sheriff's Department to provide them additional guidance as to the required content of the affidavit. We share in your frustration for the delay. We currently have 2 writs of possession awaiting proper service and are trying to schedule the execution of another. We can assure you we are doing everything we can to move the process along. Let us know if you have any questions regarding Sam. For Crystal's benefit, we bought a piece of property at tax sale. It will be 2 years in May. It's out in West Townsend. And we're attempting to officially take possession of that. We waited our 1 year, and then we had to go through the eviction process to be able to physically take possession of the property. It has taken a lot longer than any of us anticipated. We don't know the condition of the property, but once the court decides that we can actually tack the notice of eviction to the door.
Are there tenants in there?
Not to
Hard
the
to
best
say.
of our knowledge.
Hard to say because nobody's ever seen anybody there, or hard to say because
Somebody
nobody's
hasn't
owning
been
it to
there.
it?
Well, if the house.
Occupancy was sporadic at best for quite a while.
Power's off, water's not running, nobody's been there for over a year. I bet anybody can determine.
Right.
And the physical address of where the individual lives has been changing, so service has been rather problematic.
So we're asking the court to allow us to put the order on the door, and then that will begin a clock ticking, and 30 days after that order is tacked to the door, if the court approves it, then we will in fact be able to take possession.
All the other orders have been tacked to the door because we can't do service on them, but the court, because this is the final eviction year gone, last one, the real one that says you can't step on it, you're trespassing, they really wanted service on it, and the attorneys had to go through the Sheriff's Department to really hard attempt that. This has been since the beginning of December though, essentially.
We received the writ in the Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we received the writ.
Yeah. So this has been going on for quite a while, but hopefully we can, and we didn't want to go this far into winter with the house unexplored.
Unattended.
But it is coming up on 2 years next month, so.
And can I ask what the purpose of the purchase was for the town?
We didn't purchase, we taxed out.
It's a tax sale.
Yeah, it was
Delinquent taxes road.
7 to 8 years worth of delinquent taxes.
Okay.
And we
The
purchased
individual
that
was
tax.
bankrupt, there were a few liens on it. Other bidders were reluctant to get into a situation which might become a legal nightmare. So we did.
So yes, we're hopefully toward the end of that, and then we'll have to decide what to do with the property when it officially becomes ours. All right, then moving on to new business. Compost bag dispensing. In July, when the state in their infinite wisdom decided to go to food recycling, the town decided to go ahead and purchase the compostable bags to promote the new service it's not really a service, the new requirement that the state was mandating of people with no food in the trash. We have since run out of those compostable bags. They're relatively expensive. I don't know how efficient they are from the standpoint of whether they're actually being used for food scraps or whether they're being used to dispose of trash. There don't seem to be too many of them out in the compactor. But the question has now come up, since we're out, are we going to provide them?
How long have we been out for?
There are still a few in the office. Arnold keeps taking small boxes, and he's been dispensing them fairly, what's the word for it? Not lenient. Sporadically, and to people that he knows are using them. We've been out for a while, and
And we're down to just the small ones, all right?
we just
Yeah,
have the
the
small
little
ones.
tiny-
I just gave the last 2 boxes to Anita, the very small ones.
Yes.
And we had ordered the large ones. The large ones are pretty good size. I mean, they're
Yeah,
big enough to hold a turkey carcass. But most people
Exactly.
don't want to keep them and fill them up, so they were putting little things in them and throwing them out. At 50 cents a bag or whatever they were costing, more than the purple bags cost us. It was one of those things, we could continue doing it. The reason for handing them out is there is a requirement that we collect food scraps, keep it out of the waste stream, so to speak. But because those bags are not being handled separately, the food is not being handled separately, but is going into the compactor. And I don't know whether Brattleboro Salvage is sorting those bags out when they get dumped on the floor or not, and recycling it. Or putting, well, we don't generate enough. We don't generate 50 pounds a week. I mean, it's not like there's a volume as there would be on, you know, city blocks.
Do you feel like we were generating more early on and it's waned?
With regard to food?
Yeah.
Probably, because I think most people recognize that the bags that they're coming in with and handing to Arnold, they didn't have to pay for, but I mean, they're putting them in a little can. They know that Arnold is putting them in the compactor at the end of the day, so. It sort of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it seems to, and Triple T said that they would, or Brattleboro Salvage said, well, if they're off to one side and you empty the truck and they end up in one pile, that they would take them and take them to a landfill, or not a landfill, but take them to a composting site, which is, but they pay $100 a ton to get rid of it. And if you only have something that will fit, you know, in a barrel this big, I mean, if it's only 50 pounds, it's not worth trucking across town and then paying a tipping fee for it and actually handling it separately. The rule, we've talked about this before, the rule is designed for more urban areas where people don't compost themselves. Most people do compost.
Yeah.
And yes, you do end up with things you don't want to put out there because it'll attract bears and other vermin. But nonetheless, most people do compost as much as they possibly can. And the rest of it truly is trash. I don't know, they are fairly expensive. I have shopped them. I did buy, I don't know, 3 cases of them, I guess, back when. But you're looking to get free freight and all that, you're looking at spending $100, $150 at a shop. And
well, I was rereading the statute not that long ago, and I don't know if they changed it or if I misread it the first time. We can charge for compost.
Yes, you can.
So we could keep the bags and charge people for the bags.
or people can buy them.
Or they can buy them.
Brown and Roberts,
Right.
or
Yep.
probably a Riverbend now, I mean, if they want to.
Yeah, and then we can just, we can accept them, right?
So the state mandate is that we offer composting at the transfer station.
We
Yes.
we do now, in 2 ways. We will take Christmas trees and leaves and yard debris and all that, nobody brings it in. They dump it in the ravine or they have their own compost. But we have an area set aside that will take bulk compost, brush and things like that, that we can burn at the pit if necessary. And then we are required by law to do that. We're also required to take food scraps. We should be required to handle them separately, but we're not, because we are just a transfer station. We are not a facility, we are a a collection facility where simply you put it in a garbage truck, we'll take it to town. You know, we do provide recycling, and the recycling's free, but the recycling is actually paid for the cost of the bags. So nothing's free.
Right.
Taxpayer picks up the freight.
And the haulers aren't even required to take composting and handle it separately
No.
either.
And,
Is the legislature punted on that?
yeah.
So the question becomes, do we order some more bags?
I mean, in the beginning, because we went from $2.50 a bag to $3.50 a bag, and because we had to provide food scrap, it was an incentive to people to look, take your food out of this.
Right.
Anything that
And
will
not
compost has
use it.
food.
Exactly.
And
get
it'll reduce.
more into the
Well,
big bag.
and then your
Yeah.
purple bag can actually sit on a porch, because it's not going to attract ants or flies or something else, and you can actually, you know, really bring in trash, household trash, that is indeed trash, but you can fill the bag by taking the food out, things that smell. I don't know.
I'd make a motion to scrap the scrap bags,
Scrap the scrap bags, the recyclable bags.
compostables.
So basically, okay, we'll figure out how we don't make a negative motion out of that.
Okay. How are you writing it down as a non-negative motion?
Well, I'll have to figure that one out. But basically, it's basically to not pass out free compost bags. Whether you want to charge for them or not, that's a whole different thing. We can buy them and sell them,
Well, you can, he
have them
could,
available. But to make compost bags at a fee or not at all, then that's fine. It just, we're not stopping doing it. We've already stopped doing it because I don't have any on order. We're just not going to
We're not gonna
continue.
Right.
Yeah, that's not really a negative motion, we're just not gonna continue this. It was
Well,
a,
then the motion should technically be that the town will not purchase any additional.
And make a motion
Compost
to
bags.
not purchase any more compostable
Yep.
bags.
Is there a second for that? No second? Okay. So motion fails for lack of a second. So now what do you want to do?
So I would say, Craig, if you can get us the number of how much we've spent in tipping fees year-to-date through 9 periods.
okay,
Because we know that we've collected $23,238 in trash bag sales
right,
through 9 periods.
right,
Let's see what that number compares to tipping fees. Let's see if we're positive or negative
okay.
before we make a
You
decision.
actually have tipping fees, if you go to the back of that
Yeah.
section, page 8,
Eight.
or page 7, and second page from the end of the general fund. And you should have tipping fees, and above that, you should have a recycling contract. You gotta kind of marry those two together. I'll give you the number, I'll give you the page number here in a second. General fund. It's gonna be page 7 at the top. Recycling contract, we've spent $6,440 now on recycling tipping fees. And on tipping fees for trash, household trash, we've spent $12,500. So 12,500 and 6,400
So
is
18,900.
19, and then you gotta throw wages for the attendant in there,
Yep.
which is another 9,000 roughly. So, you know, we're a little behind. Although we're still owed probably $3,000 in bags right now. That we haven't got checks for.
That we have.
Because we're 3 months behind. I've given everybody 90 days dating.
Right.
Which is nice, so.
Right.
But.
And what was the cost of the compostable bags, the first purchase that we did, do you remember?
I'd have to look up the quantity, a case of them, which I think is 500 bags, maybe? They run
Yeah,
about
that
30,
sounds
they run about 30 cents a bag. Maybe 25 for the small ones, maybe 40 for the big ones, something like
Right.
that. And these purple bags are, you know, purple bags are purple bags.
Any further, do you want to, so you want to table it until we actually have hard numbers?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you find out roughly what's still outstanding?
Sure.
And let us know where we are on
Yeah,
that.
we'll have by your next meeting, we should be closing out the quarter, so coming pretty close to it. We'll have numbers for this.
Did you give a blank sheet on the officer appointment?
I believe I did. I gave everybody
There it
else
is.
one.
Yep.
Well, you had mine all clipped together with.
Well, well, just so you've got stuff that goes back a month or two in there. Right
Oh,
now. So I just put the current stuff under play.
Okay. Basically, these are all the appointments that we do after town meeting. And it's usually a process. I don't think we really need to worry about trying to go over it tonight. But if you do see any of the people that are listed on this list, you might want to ask them if they're still willing to serve. The ones on the already filled in the 18-19 column are people who have ongoing terms.
Well, and there's one I put in there at the bottom who is adamant about having that term back. So, Maggie Bills is in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of did that on my own, but you can override it. We have 2 openings on the planning commission.
Brandon Canavari is interested in that.
Well, I need something in writing from, and they're not having a meeting because
Oh,
somebody's
from
out of town, but the board has, I believe, I mean, the planning commission, I believe, has 2 people who are interested, Brandon's one of them. And they should be getting something to the board by the next meeting in writing, so that hopefully you can think about that. Those are 5-year terms, though.
Yep.
And I did not talk to Herb about Wyndham Solid Waste. Yeah, I should have done it before he left last week, but.
Well, like I said, if you run into any of these individuals, you just might ask them if they're still willing to serve in that position. And we'll kind of go through the list and do the ones that we know at the next regular meeting.
Actually, I will talk to Tim Schaefer. His term
Is he up?
He's up this year, yeah. 2018 expires, it's a 5-year term, that's all officer.
Oh,
That's a state appointment. And if anybody else, Let's see, we have town report committee on here? We do have town report committee on here. I think I want to think about. Anyway, yeah,
Not right now?
not right now. No.
Nope. Okay. Then you all got a copy of the budget status report, which we've been referring to off and on online. It just shows you where we are year to date on the differing line items in the budget. I'm going to take a look at it just to see what's going on.
There are basically three sections. There's a general fund with everything revenue and expense. There's a highway fund, revenue and expense, and then there's equipment expense. And,
Okay, is there any other business that needs to be conducted? Okay, hearing none, then I would entertain the motions that are printed on your agendas.
I'm sorry, what?
I'd entertain the first motion that's printed on your agenda.
for executive?
Yep,
I move to find that the end of, for executive session, find that the individual will be placed at a substantial disadvantage if the public were to have premature knowledge of a grievance filed by an elected appointed official.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any discussion of that? Hearing none, all those in favor of finding that the individual would be at a substantial disadvantage if the public were to have premature knowledge of a grievance filed by an elected or appointed official, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Then number 2.
I move to enter executive session under 1 VSA 313A 1D to discuss a grievance by an elected appointed official.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of entering executive session under 1 VSA 313A 1D to discuss a grievance by an elected official, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. There will be a resolution. And who is entering executive with us? Or is it just us?
Just us.
Just us? All right. Then I would guess maybe 10 minutes. So,
We'll open up those for service.
yep, out at 8:04. Okay, you ready to go?
Yep.
All right. So as a resolution,
I would move to have paid appointed positions run from the period from the day after town meeting to the following town meeting, and payments to follow the town payroll system schedule, starting with the first pay period after town meeting.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
One abstention? The motion passes. Okay. Oh, it's so sweet. Is there any other additional business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:05.
So moved.
Thank you all. And Craig, you'll get back in touch with us about